Welcome back to the Shifting Focus. We have two incredible guests with us today. We have Joyce and Wanda. These are self-proclaimed the best realtors on the Emerald Coast. They are premier realtors with the Premier Real Estate Company. I'm so honored to have you both here today and to share your stories, which are not over. We're just getting started.
That's right.
Is it the Premier Real Estate Company?
The Premier Property Group.
That's what
I
thought.
screwed that
That is
intro
all right.
up. How dare I?
It's okay.
Okay, you'll forgive me.
We'll forgive
There's a
you.
lot of premieres out there.
But there's only two of you.
There's
That's
only
right.
Two
Yeah.
of us.
One of you.
Thank goodness.
One of
Who's
each of
of
us.
yous?
Two of
One
us is
pair
enough.
of us.
We've been laughing so hard already. Can't wait. All right, ladies, tell me your stories, how you got connected, and how you ended up right here.
You want me to go first? You want to
Go
go first?
first.
All right. So I am a military wife. My husband retired after 21 years in the Air Force. And I homeschooled my kids for 9 years, who are both functioning, successful young adults in college. So I didn't kill them. But
You didn't kill him yet.
oh, I might still kill them. They still are under my umbrella. So I feel like probably my journey started way back when I was an Army brat, because I moved 21 times before I ever met my husband, who then moved me 7 more times. And so we were stationed in Niceville, Florida, when my children were 4 and 5 years old. And then we went through the rest of our military career. And when my husband retired, we took a job in St. Louis, Missouri, because it was close to his family. And we even made an offer on a house, and we were ready to stay there. And he called me and said, "Hey, we need to cancel our offer because I just took a job in Niceville." I'm like, oh, okay, let's do that. So we shifted real quick and canceled. We lost a little money, but that's okay, because we came here in 2017, and we had been homeschooling our kids then for 5 years, and it was working. So our plan was always to put them back in school when they were in high school, because somewhere like 7th, 8th grade, they were smarter than me. But it was working. So we just kept the pace. And so we homeschooled until each of my children were in 11th grade, and they're a year apart in school. And so somewhere around the 9th, 10th grade, my husband's like, "What are you going to do when they grow up?" And I'm like, "Well, I mean, I kind of like houses, and we've bought houses and we've sold houses. I think I might be a realtor. That would be fun. I've sold other things." So I went to real estate school and I became a realtor. And I was a realtor about a year before Joyce. And that's where we met, in Premier Property Group.
That's right.
Yeah. So,
Divine intervention.
yeah, I mean, like,
Wanda and I together.
I think you, in one of the preview questions you asked us, you asked what brought the two of you together. And I would completely and 100% say God. Because there are moments in your life when you think, oh, I'm good with my people. I mean, we came back to the church that we went to when we lived here first time. I have my people. I have my homeschool people. My kids are awesome. I don't need anybody else in my tribe. And then you meet somebody and you're like, how did I live without that person in my tribe? And that would be Joyce for me.
Well, let me just comment. I can't imagine a day without Wanda Jackson in my life. So I agree that I don't know how, I lived my life before Wanda, because I need my morning Wanda text, my morning Wanda phone call. I can't travel the world without Wanda.
We
She's got to
travel
be by my
really
side.
well together.
Yeah. So I thank God for her in my life. So my story, I'm from Los Angeles originally, and I was a single mom. And I met my husband, and we had another child, and we decided after the Rodney King riots and all the craziness that we did not want to raise the boys in Los Angeles. So we decided to move to East Tennessee, where my mother-in-law lived, and it was beautiful. We moved to the Smoky Mountains, and for every liquor store we had on the corner in Los Angeles, there was a church in Tennessee. And, I just thought it was a great place to raise children. And being in Tennessee, we learned that everyone vacationed to these beautiful beaches in Destin, Florida, which I'd never heard of. And so we thought, we'll go check it out. And so we went to Destin, and we just fell in love with the area. And, it was nice to be back near a coast. And so we decided to move. And, my husband was an electrician at the time, and so we opened up a business here, and I decided to take a part-time job in the evening in the vacation rental industry, and I decided to stay there for 23 years. It was a great career. I moved up. I had a lot of flexibility with my schedule, so I could be there for my kids and their sports. My ex-husband and I coached soccer, and I really loved who I worked for. And so let me back up. So I started in reservations at minimum wage and worked my way all the way up to the director of sales over Florida and Alabama. I had multiple sales teams. I went from, making minimum wage to six figures, and I was very happy. And COVID came along. And I was promoted twice and then furloughed and then let go after 23 years of this vacation rental company. In my whole career, my world was rocked. I wasn't quite sure what I was going to do with my life, but I thought, I know the area, I know the communities, I know all the condos up and down the beach. Why don't I get my real estate license? So I decided to take the class. I went in my mask and took the exam. I had to go to Alabama to do it because it was limited testing because of COVID. And so I passed the first time and got my license and decided to join Premier Property Group. And that's where I met Miss Wonderful, as I like to call her. And Wanda just took me under her wing. I was brand new, green. I really didn't know anything about real estate. And Wanda offered for me to do an open house at one of her listings. And I just thought, wow, she trusts me to do that. I don't know what I'm doing. And I just, from that moment on, we just developed this friendship, and it has just evolved. And we have experienced so many things together in the, 4 years that it hasn't even been 4 years, 3.5 years. And I'm just so grateful for her. And I call her every day. Anytime I have a real estate question or a problem, she's my go-to.
She has that Wanda vision.
I do.
She does.
It's kind of fantastic. Like Avenger level.
That's
fantastic.
You said you were working your way up the ladder at one point. You went from sales to director. Any tips for people who might be stuck in that same position where they're trying to work their way up the ladder?
Yeah. So I would volunteer for everything, the company had. There's different events and fundraisers and things, and meet people in other departments. And, I just really tried to learn a lot about the company and people. And I was always volunteering, and I just worked really, really hard. I wanted to provide my boys with a good life. I was raised without a lot of money, never got to travel. And so I just, I worked really hard. I showed up, I was early, I participated. And I think that served me well whenever there was an opportunity for, a position. I would interview, and, I just kind of slowly through the years worked my way up, and
You earned the attention.
I did.
Well, from an outsider's perspective, I can tell you the progression of working her way up is because she's genuine and authentic and gives everything that she does 110%. So you can show up and you can volunteer and you can be early, but you got to be intentional and authentic. And then people recognize that.
They have to trust you.
So.
And that's one thing you said about y'all's relationship is that trust. You trust each other. You know you can rely on each other.
Oh, yeah.
And so when you're collaborating with partners and with team members, especially in a professional relationship, how is that something that you get? How do you earn that trust?
Well, I think everybody's different. I mean, I trust everybody until they prove themselves untrustworthy, because that's just who I am.
Same, I'm the same.
I trust everybody. So, to me, there are a lot more skeptical people in this world than me. And so if I can't really tell you how people earn my trust, I can tell you how they break my trust. But I can tell you when I see someone that's not trusting at the onset, the key components to that, besides authenticity and integrity, is over communication and clarity about, I guess, depending on the relationship, either clarity about what your boundaries are or clarity about what your goals and your itinerary, so to speak, in whatever adventure you're on is. Because the more clarity you give somebody, the more they understand that if something is miscommunicated, it wasn't intentional. It was something that just slipped through the cracks. So that, to me, when I'm trying to earn someone's trust, is key. But to earn my trust, you just got to not mess up, because I trust you.
Yeah. You see the good in everybody.
I do.
Do you see the good in everybody? Or
I do.
Is
I
Wanda
do.
a good balance?
No, we do.
I definitely
Our
am
husbands.
always looking for the silver lining, and, and the good, and the reason why someone may be acting a certain way. And I often come up with someone's defense of bad behavior. Matter of fact, I think I won an award for that.
Hey, now I see
Always
where we
seeing
all
the best.
Right?
Now I see where we're friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, you trust
So-
everybody for anything.
Her husband and my husband, they're the ones who keep us from being taken advantage of, because they're the same.
Yeah. So Wanda and I are kind of the same.
Yeah.
We're about the same age. We have 2 sons. We married the same husbands. The very analytical
Mine's redheaded and
engineer.
bearded and
I thought you meant
Yeah,
like the
they
same
don't look alike. We didn't marry the same man. No.
but they're like,
similar personalities.
my husband's a nuclear physicist, and your husband is, well, he's my CPA. He divorced me because he got another job, but he's in that mindset. So they're both very analytical and very
Not super
pragmatic.
social.
They like their time away from people. We are around people, and the more you talk to us, the more energy we're going to have, because that's what extroverted people do. And so we have the same husbands.
You were saying that you started your career at 48.
Yes.
In the real estate. For people who think I have to have my life figured out at 30.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I had my life figured out
20.
at 19, and then I had it refigured out at 23, and then I had it refigured out at about 27, and then I had it refigured out at about 36, and then I've refigured it out at 48, and we'll see what happens at 58.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
So
mean,
at 48, you found.
I started real estate, and it's fun and it's awesome, and I love it, and I love that I get to help people find their next best thing, and I get to help people make their dreams come true, because your home or your second home or your investment property is probably one of the biggest things you're ever going to buy, and the trust amount that goes into that is immense and heavy, and I value that greatly. So 48 is not too late to start anything. But I will tell you that anything and everything I've ever done, like, shifting focus for me is more about shifting environment. Because when you're a military spouse or military kid, you don't get to pick your environment. I mean, I never got to pick it. We went to Albuquerque twice. I love the beach. There's a beach, but no ocean in Albuquerque. There's sand forever. and so, like, you don't get to pick your environment sometimes, but you can pick your state of mind, and you can pick your focus, and you can pick up your pieces and do what seems like it's the best thing to do.
And I love what you said earlier. Your focus stays the same.
Yeah, always the same.
And you're the first person we've ever asked where you shifted focus, and you came back and said,
I don't shift focus. I shift priority and I shift position, but my focus is always God and my family. My husband is phenomenal, way better man than I am woman. My children are my world, and we have lived the 22 years of our marriage with the singular focus of making God first and everything else second. And it's from a C.S. Lewis quote. C.S. Lewis said, make first things first and everything else falls into place. If you make second things first, then everything will surely fall apart. So you just make first things first, and the rest it's just scenery.
it's such a good reminder, especially in real estate. I've talked to many realtors who kind of lose themselves in the real estate. They lose the family, they lose the priority. They get so sucked into being there for their clients that they lose that part. So any advice for future realtors, or just people who get sucked into their job and lose their family?
I think you really just have to set boundaries, because it is very easy to do. It's a 24/7 job, and, you want to be able to help them and be the best that you can be, but you don't want to neglect your family. I make it a point to try and not work on Sundays if I don't have to just spend that day with my husband. I have a granddaughter that's 5 hours away, and I am there every month. I'll go and drive and spend a weekend with her. And, I have to make that priority. Could I work that whole weekend? Yes, there's always something to do in real estate, always something to learn. And, when like Wanda said, when I do something, I'm all in. So, I'm part of the Women's Council Realtors, part of the Global Business Committee, part of a sales team. There's just a lot going on, and it's all consuming. It really can be, and it's rewarding. I love it. I'm very passionate about what I do, but you just have to have that balance, because you're going to start to see, an area of your life suffer if you're not in balance. And when I first became a realtor, that was a little bit hard, because my husband was used to having me home on the weekends. I didn't work the weekends. We had our little routines, and so we had to adjust, that. So that took a little getting used to, but we worked through it.
So I would say your why is your anchor, which my husband and my kids are my why. Her granddaughter and her husband and her dogs. I have dogs too, but she's way better doggy mom than me. They're her why. And so when we as realtors get really busy, or the urgent becomes more important than your why, then you lose focus. And we all are all guilty of that, no matter what your occupation is, because you want to do the best you can do at whatever God's put before you. But the first thing is your why. And so what I have to do is go back to that often, because I always want to be the best that I can. I'm a very overachiever minded human being. So, and typically with overachievers, we tend to let the people that we want to achieve for be the people we underachieve with. And so like probably, 3 weeks ago, I was talking to a girl that I'm kind of mentoring right now that's a new agent. And I was like, I'm making it a point this month to reconnect with my why every day and make sure, and it sounds little, but my husband goes to bed way, way earlier than me. And I'm just going to go to bed when he goes to bed for a month, because he would appreciate that. And that's important. And I can get up at 5. He doesn't get up at 5. I get up at 5, whether I go to bed at 9 or at 1, because I just do. But for a month, commit to do that. And then he knows how important he is. And I can get a whole heck of a lot of work done and still go to bed at 10 o'clock. So that's my why. He is my why. My kids have gone. They're out, and I love them, and they are my why. But my husband, man, he sticks around when everybody else is gone. Dogs can die off. My kids can grow up. I can have grandbabies. He's still here. So
Prioritizing the hubby. I could do better.
I could do better.
Yeah.
We all can do better.
Yeah.
I'd love for her to try to go to bed when I go to bed.
I try. I do try.
She just sits there and stares at the ceiling.
I do too.
I just can't sleep.
I do too. And so then I feel like I'm bugging him.
Yes.
Right? So I'm not going to do that for long.
A month.
Because he'll get irritated. But for a little bit, he knows I tried. And he'll probably roll over and say, it's okay if you stay up. Yeah,
Exactly.
I do it, but our bedtime keeps getting earlier and earlier and earlier. And I swear last night we were in bed about 7:45 p.m. It was not good.
We hadn't even eaten dinner at 7:45.
Yeah.
Do you wake up earlier
I
at
do.
that point?
Yeah. I'm usually up about 4:30.
I wake up to Joyce's text.
I'm sorry.
Good morning.
I know it's probably too early, but good morning, Wanda.
It's all right. I don't pick it up till I'm ready to have my coffee.
I wish I could. I'm just a night owl.
I am
get
too.
creative at night. He's an early bird. And we didn't really recognize that until we moved into the van. And we had to be in a box. And
And I'm waking up, and she's like staring at me like, what are you doing?
1 day, 2 day, 3 days, it's okay. After 3 days, when I get lack of sleep, I'm a monster. And I'm not a very nice. And I love everybody. I trust
Did you say
everybody.
moving into the van? Can we
Yeah.
unpack that?
Yeah. Yeah, we can.
Did you ever have it down by a river?
We did.
Multiple, lots of rivers. The difference is in that skit, they made it seem like a bad thing.
And it was a good thing for you.
Now we can barely afford to buy this van down by the river.
Yeah. We built that out. It was our COVID project. We lived in Miami and COVID hit, and we thought this is something we've been wanting to do. The airline industry started shifting, and we thought, how are we going to see our clients in California if we can't fly to them?
We wanted to buy a house, get to the real estate market, so we bought one on wheels.
We
There you
did,
go.
and we traveled, and we said we don't have to pack all this equipment on an airplane, and
That's kinda cool.
we went to Nashville, built it out with my parents, flew back and forth to Miami for a couple months, and then got in and traveled, saw friends, went to national parks that were pretty empty at the time because everyone's stuck in home, and saw clients, had the best year of our life.
That's awesome.
And then we said, we're going to move to Nashville and be homesteaders and live off the grid. And so did every single person from California. They came in, outbid us, wiped out we were looking outside of you're from East Tennessee. I'm from Nashville. We were looking an hour south, and people were buying this. What did you say? A wooden wooden home or?
Well, it'd be like, no, there'd be like a 15, 20 acre place, and it'd be like with beautiful barn on property or 2 beautiful barns. You go and they're like missing a wall and the thing's
Condemned.
sideways. They're literally, I'm like, I will pay you to remove that.
Yeah.
I don't want that here.
And
Yeah.
they'd sell it for $1 million.
yeah.
And this is where I grew up. It was like $60,000 before COVID. I'm like, there's no freaking way.
You know, my grandparents built a beach house out on 30A in Dune Allen Beach in 1976 for $28,000.
What is that worth now? Just the land.
$3.2 million. So it just matters who wants to be where the dirt is.
Yep.
That's right. I like dirt.
We like dirt. So we're still looking. I mean, we ended up in Florida. No regrets. We love it.
There's
Learned
dirt
a lot. There's dirt here. Just got to get to the sand first,
Yeah,
right?
the soil's too sandy, actually.
Just drive north.
We did. We tried to move there.
We did. Yeah. I know. Seriously.
But yeah, we ended up here because my parents are in the Freeport area now.
Okay.
And they're like, go check out the houses in the area. She's like, I'm not moving here. We walked in and she was like, I'll take it.
Because what we were seeing there versus what we saw here. But in Tennessee, it's your vacation spot. This is where we came to have a good time and
That's right.
relax. I was like, I don't want I don't want to ruin my vacation spot.
Yeah.
But now I get to live in my vacation
It's
spot.
the best.
Oh my God.
Well,
don't
and
tell
then your
anybody.
vacation spot is the mountains now.
No,
That's
it is the best. We
Well,
live
yeah.
in paradise. We live 12 minutes from paradise.
Yep. It's so beautiful.
It's the best. I tell people that all the time.
What did you think about California when you came here? Because California has beautiful beaches. But then was it just drastically different for you?
It was so different. I had no idea that we had beaches this beautiful in the United States of America. I thought you had to go to the Caribbean. So when we first came down here on vacation, I was just in awe with the white sand. And I'm like, I'm not burning my feet. Ooh, I'm not cutting my feet on shells. And, and the water, I remember calling my mom and saying, I could see all the way down to the bottom my red toenail polish through the water. I was used to the Pacific coast,
Well, you'd be freezing cold the second you touched it.
That's right. Or get knocked and rolled and somersaulted in the waves. That was just normal. So I loved it. And I appreciate West Coast beaches. I love the cliffs and the beauty of it as well. But yeah, this was pretty amazing.
What part of LA were you in?
I grew up in San Gabriel Valley area.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then we would go to like Seal Beach and Huntington Beach and
Very nice. Love Seal Beach.
take the RTD bus.
We're from California, so we met in LA.
We are not
She's from Nashville.
California.
She came
Don't put me in
she came to Hollywood and met me.
Nice.
I didn't know this place existed either, so I'm with you. Same
Yeah.
same
It's
story.
magical.
It really is.
Yeah.
So with real estate, I'm sure y'all have seen a thing or two. What would be some of the craziest things you've seen? And I'm not editing out, so choose your stories wisely.
Well, considering I'm still a newer realtor, I'm sure I have a lot more exciting adventures, to come. But I remember showing a house on St. Patty's Day, and we walked through the house, and the floor was a little rickety, and there was actually a hole in the floor. And then we walked out to the backyard, and the pool was entirely green. And I'm like, they dye that green for St. Patty's Day.
Nice cover up.
Yeah, that's a good comeback,
Yeah,
Joyce.
you like
That's
that?
awesome.
And then I took a picture, of course, posted it on social media, and everybody loved that. I'm like, oh, this is kind of fun. But, so far my stories are, anything too outrageous. I discover lots of lizards and frogs and, and I have to
gators.
save
We
every
have to
single
go
one.
turn
No
faucets
gators.
on when it freezes the one day out of the year. And
Yes.
But not my first listing. Was it maybe my second or third listing was a referral in. Our company works with leading RE and luxury portfolio. And so they refer in clients. It's boutique real estate companies that are smaller than a certain size. So we network together, right? So we collaborate with each other as opposed to like a Keller Williams or a Coldwell Banker who's national, and Coldwell Banker in California can refer their client to Coldwell Banker here. So leading RE is that for smaller companies. So I get my first lead as a new agent from them, and it's to list a property in Niceville. I'm like, yes, okay. So I talked to the lady. She's super sweet. She's afraid to travel because of COVID. And she tells me where the address of her dad's house is that her and her two brothers need to sell. So I drive. It was on Juniper in Niceville, kind of down by Bayshore Drive. And so I drive, and I put it in the Google so I don't get lost. And I drive right past it, and I don't see it. And so the Google tells me I passed it. So I turn around like 4 times. And so it was covered in like kudzu. So I couldn't find the house. I could not see the house. It had been not lived in for so long that it was completely covered in kudzu.
It's like
Thus,
Jumanji.
that transaction was called the kudzu house. And I'd never had to sell a house you couldn't see before or live in, or that raccoons were in. And they were. And I didn't, we live in Florida. I don't wear like closed-toed shoes. That my feet get claustrophobic. That's why I moved here. So I was like, I got to come back. And I put some rain boots on and a flashlight because there's no electricity in it. And the windows had been broken in. And so I called her. I'm like, I don't necessarily feel safe going into this place. And her response to me was, well, you said you have a football player for a son. Just have him go in with you. I'm like, he's a child. But okay. So I got her to pay for a guy to cut all the kudzu away from the house. Because I'm like, I can't go in there when I can't see in there. And so he did. That cost her a bit of money. And so then they cleared a path for me to go into the house. And I went into the house and it was like this. It was a tomb, basically. I mean, the things in that house that could have been fabulous had been deteriorated for over 2 years to the point that it was just a tear down house. And I'd never sold, like I'd only sold maybe like 10 total houses, nothing like that. So it was a big learning curve for me. And it took about, I don't know, maybe 8 or 9 months. And because of Women Council of Realtors, which we're both a part of, I jokingly said to a friend of ours who's currently the president of WCR, because she does fix and flips. I'm like, hey, I got a fixer-upper for you. You want to come see it? She's like, sure, where is it? I'm like, it's on a great double lot in Niceville, but it's a lot. And so she's like, sure. And so she ended up buying it.
She did?
Yes. And
What's it look like now?
it's torn down.
Oh,
It's dirt, sand.
It's dirt. It was cheaper and more efficient to tear it down and rezone the lot into 2 lots and build 2 things on it.
Smart.
Right. Well, I didn't know that then, though. Like, I was trying to be like, I can go get people to tell me how much it costs to put a new roof on and how much it costs to re-brick things. And, well, both of the air conditioners have been eaten by critters, so we need new ones of those. And they just tore it down.
Smart.
Yeah. So they'll build something on it, and that's great. But the networking and collaboration is the only way that got done. So that was a lesson I learned pretty quick in real estate, is you got to know the people that you do business with, because you never know who's going to want what you've got. And
that's so true. And lessons learned.
Yeah.
I mean, every single real estate transaction is a new lesson learned. I had a lesson learned today, right before we got here. I drove all the way out to Freeport Community, Windswept Dunes. I packed up my sign, the post, my mallet, everything ready to go. And I get all the way out there and I look around and I see these for sale signs are all consistent. They have the logo of the neighborhood and who it's listed by, for sale. And well, who knew they had restrictions on for sale signs? So I went all the way out there for nothing. I had to turn around and come all the way
we do a lot of go
back.
all the way there
and
for
now
nothing.
after this, I'll have to go to Accent Signs and buy a special for sale sign that is allowed in that HOA community. Gotcha. But you know, every time I have a lesson like this, I go in the notes of my phone and I write lesson learned, and I'll write a little paragraph, and I'll usually have the name of the client or whatever. And I go back to that often. And there's lots of lessons that I learn all the time.
reels with that.
Yeah.
Oh, be the
Yeah,
social media
probably
lesson learned reels.
There's a whole marketing thing.
Oh my
there.
gosh, that's going to be you next year.
It probably have like 30 or 40.
I know, right? That's like a year and a half.
That's
That they don't have in real estate for dummies or the real estate
None of the
exams.
things. Yeah, nobody tells you where to go find people to cut kudzu off a roof.
Right.
So for people who don't know what kudzu is,
Oh, that's an Alabama, North Florida thing.
what is it?
Kudzu is this weed that looks like it's poison ivy, but it's not poison ivy. And it grows so fast that if you don't touch it for like a year, you don't see what it grew on. Like, it can consume houses. It's amazing, actually. It's a pretty amazing plant.
I wonder if that's what we have in the backyard.
If it crawls up and takes over, yeah.
Does it
that's
have
kudzu.
thorns?
Does it have like a little head?
That's from Little Shop of Horrors. That's a different plant.
That's what we say too.
But kudzu is like native to North Florida, South Alabama, and it's just a wild weed that grows really fast. And we have such rich moisture and soil in this area that it loves it. So it grows fast. And that's why you can't leave property alone in the state of Florida, especially North Florida, because our environment will kill your property.
Can't leave anything alone.
No,
out
you
here.
can. It'll kill your dog too if he sits too long.
It's true.
Yeah.
Jumanji.
I always tell people we live in Jumanji. You never know what's going to try to kill you out here.
All right.
Vines coming over and taking everything.
Yeah, there's so many weird. And now we just put, we got bees. So we added one
Bees.
more thing to that. What would be 3 things that you would wish your customers knew going into selling or buying a home? You're like, this.
They need money.
Everybody needs to know this. And it can be different.
Oh, goodness. That the cost of doing business, the value of having a professional walk you through doing business.
Yeah, I absolutely agree.
There's so
and
many-
the trust.
Yeah.
I think it's so important for them to trust their realtor, that they have experience, and they know the business. And I've been fortunate, most of my clients do trust me, but then I hear, stories of, they're constantly being questioned, and we yes,
put everything into what we do for our clients.
we really do. And we do a lot of research and we connect with a lot of people.
Joyce and I are showing a mutual client property all weekend. We probably spent 2 hours on the phone last night going through all the areas and their 5 top criteria for buying a second home and measuring each one of those 20 properties that were in his top 20. Well, he said top 15, but then he sent some more. Those 20 properties, measuring the criteria for him so we can maybe not show him 20 and maybe just 14, so we can maybe help filter.
And making sure that
Right.
everything, like the beach access,
Right.
the distance to
And-
the beach. Is there a ramp there because they want their elderly parents at some point to come and enjoy and be able to access the beach?
Right. So not every realtor is the same either, but not everybody will go out and say, okay, well, I know now there are 6 ramp accesses in Walton County. So if we're looking in Walton County, I've pinned all 6 of those ramp accesses on my phone. And when we're at a house, we can pull it up on my phone and see how far it is away, because that's a priority for him. I now know the things that are priorities for him. And so I can filter for him because that's what we do. And so if you trust us, because there's 5,500 plus realtors in the Emerald Coast Association of Realtors, and not all realtors are the same. We're not the best ones out there, even though we're self-proclaimed best. We're not the best ones out there, but we certainly do care a lot.
We do.
And we are convinced that you can never stop learning to be better. And that's part of a God-focused thing too, right? Because I'm not sanctified till I go to heaven. So I'm not going to be perfect till I get there. So I might as well keep trying to get better than I am. And so when someone comes to us and asks us to represent them in a transaction, the things that they get to trust us with are all of the detail of inspections and zoning and permits and the roof age and what is the best thing to look for. And then when they come to us to sell their product or their home, they get to trust us to present their home to the whole market and to get the best photographer in there and to help them with a pre-listing inspection. And when we show up at a listing appointment, I have a net sheet that has the ranges, the money they'll walk away with, so they know what to negotiate when they get their first offer. And we get to give them, it's part of ninja selling, we can sell your property for you. And what we need to know is the price a priority or the timeline a priority? Because whichever one is your priority is the one we need to focus on manipulating best for your market. And those are the things that we didn't learn overnight. I mean, we probably paced and learned them about the same, even though I started about a year before you. And so the things that we try to become professionals with, at least us, I can't speak for all of us, but us, the things that we try to perfect is constantly trying to perfect. Like we are constantly going to classes and constantly working on being better. When our photographer doesn't show up or doesn't give us pictures for 2 or 3 days, we pivot and find a better photographer. And we pay for it again. The condo I listed last week, which sold in 5 days, by the way. But the condo I listed last week, I had a photographer that went in and did pictures and I didn't get him. So I called another one and he came in and gave him to me in 24 hours. So I double paid for pictures. Those are the things they don't see us do, that we do because we want their property to sell in a timely manner. So that's, I think, the behind the scenes. It would be fun to do a day in the life of a realtor, like when
Good
we're
realtors.
Yes,
Good realtors.
Much different.
Yes, it's
like when we're
what
not dressed
Hollywood
up and in a
portrays.
class or on your podcast. Like Joyce has turned on and off faucets and covered up things for freezing weather for her clients. I've cleaned a pool. I mowed lawn the other day before a photo shoot because their grass had grown a lot and they were in Delaware. So I just got their lawnmower out. I had really nice clothes on too.
Yeah.
I rolled my suit leg pants up and I got their lawnmower out of the garage and mowed their grass before the photographer got there.
See, that was a photography moment. Should have had you dressed nice.
Yeah.
Lawn, lawn. It's
Yeah.
like, we'll do the dirty work
that
for you.
lawn was not flat. I was like,
Up hills.
I learned as a realtor to always have a kit in the
Yep.
back seat,
Yep.
you know, so I have my bag of WD-40, my measuring tape, my hammer, gloves, you know, everything I need. Because you just never know, you know, when you're going to need it. And who knew you would need all of that as a realtor?
Add a lawnmower to that kit,
Yeah.
that mix. And it's interesting because these are really simple. When you break it down, they're simple questions to
yeah.
ask, but people don't ask them. And that I can understand why you would self-proclaim the best, because you really, talking to you all and talking to realtors in the past that we've come in contact with over our lifetimes, no one's broken it down this simple. And it sets you apart. Really.
that's the goal.
Because you have the client has a problem, you're the solution. Trust is built. Boom. And now they come to you when they want to sell their house at the buyer or the buyer, you know.
And not everybody fits. I have said no thank you. I had to learn to say no thank you.
Oh, what are red flag clients for you? What are some things that stand out?
How much time do we have?
Yeah, there's
That was going to be my question. Was
it?
Yeah,
Sorry.
like pet peeves or crazy things where
So
you're like,
when
I just
people-
can't.
it's a really big pet peeve when I spend a lot. I don't use Chat GPT because I'm 53 years old and I can write. So it's great for some people. I think I work hard to wordsmith all my words, and I know the Emerald Coast better than Chat GPT does. So I will write a little like the remarks up in the MLS, and I always send my listing clients the remarks. And I have a few that were homeschool friends of mine.
Oh,
Right. And we're all writers. We all taught our children how to write. We are all self-proclaimed really good at literature because we did it for so long. And so I have a few friends that are in that category, and I would send them the pre-listing, and then they'll correct my grammar and tell me I should maybe word it this way, and maybe I should put the proximity to the beach. And I'm like, well, so I have 800 characters, not 5,000. So we can't write our 3-page essay. This is the summary, and I can put that in, but I have to take this out. So I've learned to not get offended by someone else's preference for words, because it is a pride thing for me, right? But so that's a bit of a pet peeve when people tell me how to do my job a little bit better than they think I'm doing my job. So I ask up front now, but that was also a learning curve. I just ask. I'm like, so would you like me to let you write what the best things are about your property before I put it all together and summarize it?
smart.
And so now I don't have to be upset about that, because when in my interview with my listings now, I say, you know, what are the 5 things about this house that you're going to miss the most when you sell it? And what are the 3 things about this house that you would fix if you stayed another year? And so I already have their words, and so I don't overlook what is important to them. So that's kind of like, if they don't respond well to that, or they're not willing to give me some of their words to use, that's a red flag for me.
I don't know. Just sell it.
Well,
rude like
that's
that?
a red flag for me, because I'm going to get them a price and they're not going to want that price. And then another red flag for me is if they're not willing to understand the comps that I've given them.
No, mine's worth way more than that.
Right. So maybe to someone, but I can't advocate for you and sell your property in a timely manner unless we work somewhere inside these guidelines. And I don't tell anybody, you need to price it for this. I give people a range, but if they want to be above the range, then I make it very clear that it might take a really long time to sell your house. And typically I'll say, so if we want to start here, that's fine, but what's your timeline to drop the price? And so what I learned with my longest listing that was overpriced by exactly how much I said, was don't take those listings if they're not willing to give you a timeline to drop it, because that listing was on the market for 360 days. And it only sold after we dropped the price. And it sold for exactly what I told him it would sell for. So that's because I did my homework. So I learned in that listing that took forever to sell, that you can say no. And so then I have had other listing appointments where they aren't willing to give me any sort of give on that. And I say no. Not everybody fits. And it's not because they're wrong and I'm right. And it's not because I'm wrong and they're right. It's because we don't fit. And I don't have to fit with everybody.
It's true.
There's plenty of business out there to go around. So, and buyers, I had buyers from Colorado once that made offers on 4 houses and withdrew every offer.
What?
Flew in from Colorado 4 times to make offers. They didn't really want to buy a house, but I was new. It was. I think I put 170 miles on my car on one day showing them properties.
Every time I would call her, where are you? Oh, I'm showing the Colorado family again.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it was
months.
awful. But that was a hard lesson learned. So what I would tell new realtors, what I'm telling the girl I'm mentoring now, you do not have to take every client. You interview them before you meet them at a property. These are the things that you do because your time is worth money. My time in the first 2 years of real estate, I probably made what people in McDonald's make because I spent so much more time than I needed to.
Lesson learned.
Yep. It's lesson learned.
Such a good point.
Interview them before you spend your time with them.
So I don't think yet, I haven't come across any clients that I have not been able to work with or had any red flags. I think, listening to Wanda speak, I think what would really make me not want to work with somebody is someone who's dishonest, if they're going to want to cover up things in the house or not be truthful about the condition of the home, because I have very high morals and ethics. And I couldn't do that. I'm always 100% honest. And I just couldn't represent somebody who wasn't going to be forthcoming about a property.
Like a hole in the ground or a green pool, maybe.
Well, the green pool was pretty obvious, but
or even a buyer. Like I ran into I had an agent call me that calls me a lot for advice and perspective and asked me, she had a buyer that wanted to make an offer on a property, but they wanted to offer a lot less and just pay the seller the rest on the side.
Oh.
And I was like, yeah, you don't need to represent that person. And she's like, well, I know, but I'm like, no, there's no but. If he's trying to circumnavigate taxes and legal things, you need to say, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Here's the listing agent. You can go ahead and contact them because you don't want to be a part of that. Mm-hmm. Your integrity and your ethics are top priority in your business because your name is all you've got.
Yeah.
So that's important.
It's such a good point too. Because people do, they want to scheme the system.
I mean, I don't really like paying the IRS every 15th of April, but you don't scam the system.
No,
because
you
if
don't.
you do, you get caught.
Always.
And
get
if
caught.
you're the person representing the person, you're the professional and you also are on the line. So
It's so true. And we've worked with dishonest realtors before. It's not fun. And it makes the whole experience, you burn that bridge, you have distrust, and it makes you go into the next transaction with that chip on your shoulder. So I'm sure you guys have to go into situations where you have to break down the walls. And
you do.
I am not that person.
Right.
Because that's whoever comes into my life next is going to have to, and it sucks that they're going to have to show up like that.
Yeah.
Again, I trust everybody, but we were just burned.
We could bring it to that. The seller's realtor, lots of lies. Mm-hmm. The roof, brand new. 9 years old. What else? There's we asked a lot over asking price because we said we very interested in the furniture, and he's like, if you offer over, they'll probably throw it in there. Threw it in there. When the time came, they're like, they have no interest, but we'll accept your offer. It's
We
like,
already made an offer.
and then at the same time, there's back and forth and all this drama. And then the neighbors, now we know in the area, they had this idea of maybe we were being a pain, but then they're like, we didn't know. Our realtor never even told us about the offer for furniture and all this little stuff like that. I'm like, that is, and he would ignore us like all week and then just send the paperwork over. Like the deadline's in an hour to sign, either do it now or it's moving on to the next offer.
It was at the
Like
peak.
stuff like that.
It was at the peak of
Yeah.
the market. And so we had a moment where he said we had to have our appraisal done within X amount of days. And it was 7 days. And on day 6, he fired the appraiser. He said, sorry, she's not going to be here for a few days. And we said, no, that's our contingent upon buying this house. We need an out if this house, because we also waived our appraisal gap. So I was like, if this house doesn't approve or
I'm so
appraise,
happy we're not where we were.
I'm telling you, it was so aggressive. And thank God our realtor, like you guys came in and said, I'm paying out of my pocket. I'm pulling a favor. I'm having an appraiser at this house. A friend's going to come out and do it for you. And it's just, there were just things that kept happening. So the day where we had to sign, I threatened to pull out. I said, I'm not doing it, because they had an agreement to leave certain things. And when the realtor did the walkthrough, everything was gone. And I said, they can bring it back. And she said, look, are you going to let go of this house because of maybe a couple $1,000s worth of stuff? And I was this close to doing it, just out of principle.
Yeah.
But then David and his dad were like, you love the house. Don't get caught up in the minutia of little things. But I'm a principle person.
Sure.
And you've screwed me over 10 times already to get to this point. I wanted to give a big punch.
We knew the furniture wouldn't be here and whatnot, but some big things on the wall that were like bolted up, like
contractual.
And all of it was gone.
But the homeowners had no idea. They had no idea.
See, that just kind of
makes us all look
it makes us all look bad.
Yep.
Yeah.
But after talking and being a part of the WCR, I'm learning that that's not normal.
That's
No.
around here too. I think you have a fairly large quotient of ethical realtors.
Yeah.
Like, it's not normal. You get a lot of people that are retired military, spouses of military, that they're just ethically upstanding human beings. And so by and large, you got a bad egg there.
We did.
And it's a small community here, so
It is.
if I say the name, every single person knows who I'm talking about.
And
We already did it. We already did it once, and another realtor was like, "Oh, I know who that is."
Yeah, I'm sure we do.
He's a retired.
We don't need to bring up
He
the
was a
name.
retired military, and he came and said, "Well, I want to take your offer because the other one's a VA loan, and I don't want to."
We don't want to.
And my cousin who did our underwriting is a retired Navy SEAL who does the VA loans, and he was like, "That is not okay."
Yeah.
Well, it was that way though. Then
Yeah, it
'Cause
was.
VA is hard to close.
Yeah. So explain, because I don't know anything about the back end. Maybe he was having a.
So
situation.
VA mortgages have more stipulations on them as far as inspections and appraisal gaps. There's no money down, but it still costs to buy a house, right? So there's closing costs, and so a VA loan, because there's no percentage that you have to put down towards the home, you have to appraise out, because they're financing 95% of the value. That's all you can buy. And it's supposed to be a service to the veteran, because we move so much, we don't have time to build equity in our home. So we aren't the people that live somewhere for 10 years and bring $300,000 to the table. We're the people that hope we don't lose money.
Yeah.
Right. And so the VA was formed to protect that class of people and to help them be able to have ownership of a home and just, instead of just be renters their whole 20 years in the military. So, but what happens in a situation where you have a super competitive market is conventional loans, you don't have to have the shrubs cut away from the side of the house, and they don't care if there's a branch hanging over the roof, and it's not the end of the world if there's wood rot on the door frame, or there's so many things that a VA loan will not accept, that the repair limit is always higher. And so in a market where you've got people offering in 4 hours of going on the market over list price with no appraisal contingencies and no inspection contingencies, that's a false offer for a VA loan. So that's why, because you can say that for your own benefit, but then if there's a VA contingency, that you got to meet their standards. And so that's the loophole that people didn't want in that season. So that's why.
Yeah.
I'll let him off the hook for that one now.
Nah.
David's like, if I see him around here.
Yeah, of course. Obviously, I'll let him off the hook for that. We got the house.
Yeah, that makes
They
sense.
picked us. There was apparently 3 offers, so I don't know what to believe with them.
It's fine.
You're here.
Water under the bridge.
right.
We're here. I have and that was our plan. And there was a lesson there for us, and it was a great lesson. It was hard learned, but I don't believe, I try not to go too far backwards in my life, because I believe that those are the moments that really get us to where we are today.
Oh, yeah.
So if we do it again, now we know. We know what not to do.
Lessons learned.
Well, and being a part of WCR and the Women's Council, and having this exposure now with, good quality agents and realtors. And I think the first event you went to was our panel. So you got to hear firsthand from successful realtors and what they do and the professionalism
Night and day.
to kind of debunk what,
Yes.
your
1,000.
experience was.
1,000%. And WCR, speaking of which, should we talk about that? What it is and what you're doing with it? Come on
ahead.
now.
Sure,
She's such a
sure.
humble little.
So let me start this off. Joyce Serina is the president-elect, which means next year she will be the president of WCR, which is Women's Council of Realtors. She has worked her way up in leadership from just like volunteering for events.
Yes.
And remember, 4.5 years of 4 years, 3.5
3.5,
years,
yeah.
3.5 years of real estate. She's a year away from being the president of our organization. And she's the global committee chairperson, and she does a whole lot more I'm not going to go into. But specifically, WCR is a network of women, well, women and men realtors that support each other and support the advancement of women in business. And I think it started a while. She can give you the history of it. I don't know. I'm not going to be
About 80 years ago when women didn't have a seat at the table in real estate.
That's what it's for. So we have a seat at the table. But it has been an organization here in this area that has blossomed over the last 3 years, like exponentially. Because I think I was part of WCR before you were, and like not long, but like I went to maybe 2 or 3 more meetings before we were both there with Rachel. But her path in WCR has been very impressive and awesome because she truly believes that women need to have a seat at the table. I'm good with the seat at the table. I'm good with the seat out back. But Joyce has lived her life needing to provide for her kids. And it's important that she has a voice. And I think her passion about it is phenomenal and will make a difference far beyond the year that she is president. So go ahead.
You are too kind.
I need her to just introduce
know,
Maybe we'll
I
rewind
know.
and have her reintroduce the podcast.
Your hype woman right there.
Seriously, I need you, man. You're a good cheerleader.
Well, the organization, ever since my very first meeting, and I saw just all the caring and love in the room, and just the mentorship to everybody there. You have these realtors that have been in the business 30, 40 years, and then you have somebody like me just walking into the room, and they're just so welcoming, and they want to help you, and they want to teach you, and they want to teach you to be leaders. That it's just, I had a little taste of it, and I said, I want more. I want to learn. I want to get to know these women and men. It's not, just for women. Men are welcome as well. But it's just a fantastic organization. And I got what they call the tap on the shoulder to volunteer for an event. And, and then you really get to know, people. You develop this closer relationship with the board. And I decided, this is what I want to do. And I became the first vice president and then the president-elect. And next year I will be the president of the Women's Council. And it just continues to grow. Our membership has grown. And we just have a fantastic group of people. The last 2 years we've had, amazing presidents that I've learned from. I mean, I feel like I've grown so much just in the 2 years being involved. Public speaking, I probably wouldn't ever be here today on a podcast if it wasn't for the Women's Council. Each meeting they're teaching you something, in leadership or how to be professional in your business. And our last event was social media, and that's not one of my strong suits, but I feel like I learned a lot, and it's just a fantastic organization. Yeah, and I'm glad Wanda is a part of it. I kind of brought her back into the fold. And Wanda is someone, no matter what I'm involved in or how crazy it is or how time consuming it is, Wanda is always right there by my side.
We're ride or die buddies.
Yes, we are. We are.
Yeah.
She's just behind me 100%. And, I appreciate her so much.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
What's the global event you were talking about? Or the global organization?
Oh, the global. Okay. So our local real estate association, the Emerald Coast Association of Realtors, has a global business committee. And, the idea behind it is if our local agents here have a global transaction, let's say an international investor, we can provide resources, someone maybe that speaks German, a title company, or a lender who's Spanish speaking. So we can provide those resources. But we also are trying to get the Emerald Coast on the map. So, a lot of international investors or people that want to move, to Florida from other countries are familiar with Miami and Orlando, but not really Northwest Florida. So we go to trade missions and we share information, about our area and the real estate opportunities and just the quality of life and everything that there is to do here. And so I am chair of that organization.
She has a lot of hats.
Yeah, I do have a lot of hats, but I enjoy that. And I'm passionate about that. You know, I grew up in, Los Angeles, and I was raised with lots of culture. I remember when I left, my neighbor behind me was from El Salvador. I had Trudy across the street from Germany, Rose from Italy, and, my Korean neighbors I would see in the morning doing Tai Chi, and just all this cultural diversity. And, moving here, I really, it was quite the block. But, it was great. And I kind of missed that. So when I learned about the Global Business Committee, I thought, I want to get involved in that. And so, and it's been great. I've got to travel to Canada and to Spain, representing our area. And we have events, wine around the world, and we have guest speakers that come in about the global market, because we're going to be discovered sooner or later.
Dang it! Don't tell anybody.
We're global. So we both went to Canada last year for the Realtor Quest event. We're going again in what, 3 weeks?
Yeah, May
3
15th
weeks?
and 16th.
So
Canada's largest real
estate conference. We went with the whole state of Florida's global committee last year. And the thing that we realized was when people come up to the booth for Florida, they expect you to talk about Naples and Miami and Fort Lauderdale, and we're not that. And so Joyce has been pivotal in getting eCar to say, all right, we'll have our own table, because it's not cheap. So we have our own table and our own representation, our own map and our own spot, so that we can say this is what we are.
This is the Floribama booth.
The Floribama booth, baby.
How does that
we have a great big
South
map.
Alabama.
How does that benefit this area without over concentrating the area?
Well, they already have people that come down here to snowbird. One of our biggest feeder markets is Canada. And so what it does is create awareness of where we are and what we're doing, and allow Canadians to understand that they also can purchase here. They don't want to be here in the summer. They're in Toronto in the summer, or Vancouver, or wherever, but they do want to be here when we don't have a full
negative degree.
Right.
Weather.
So they're actually beautiful clients to bring here as second homeowners, because they're not here when you want to be on your beach. They're here when they want to be on your beach. And then their property is available for rent or whatever when it's busy. And so it's a beautiful connection, because they fill a gap in our world that's very empty sometimes. And if we have them owning here, then we have them coming back here all the time. And, I know restaurant owners that can't survive in the winter months. I know retail shops that shut down. But if we become global and we bring all of those people here when we have nothing going on, that actually benefits our economy.
Never thought of it that way.
And I'll tell you what, other countries or people in the area, you think of Florida, you think of Miami, Naples, and Orlando. We lived in Miami for a few years. They don't even know this exists.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
They don't know what's above
Good
Orlando.
with them staying there.
Yeah.
Our friends will be like, "Where'd you move?" Destin. They're like, "I don't know what's above Orlando. What's up there?"
Or they call us and say, "We're coming to Miami. We hope to see you." I said, "Okay, that's 9 hours."
Yeah,
This
right.
is like Texas. It's very stretched out state. People don't think that.
No.
You got to
they
make a
don't.
right to get there.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, flying to Mobile, you'll be way closer.
I know. I'm like, you know where Alabama is? We're closer to that than we are
I
Miami.
have a friend whose daughter goes to Gainesville, goes to University of Florida, and my kids go to Samford University in Birmingham. Takes my kids a lot less time to get home from Alabama than hers to get home from the same state.
Yeah, you can go to LSU probably.
Yeah,
Much
probably.
quicker on this side. You go through 4 or 5 states.
Yeah.
Before you even get over there.
So that's why we do global. We do global so we can have a place in the sunshine of Florida, and make our place, our beautiful place, something that everybody everywhere knows about. Because not everybody's going to buy here, but we certainly want our rentals to be rented. We certainly want our tourist places to be filled up in tourist season. So that's why we go.
I love that.
And we have fun.
And it's great that you two go together and you both bring some value to the table and your experience. And they're very lucky to have you both. Very lucky.
They're lucky to have her, and I tag along.
Exactly. Now I'm coming too. Okay.
That's not true.
You said there's a market of 5,500 realtors here in our pocket. How do you balance competition versus collaboration?
There's enough for everybody.
There is. There truly is. And that's what I love about our real estate community here is that we do all collaborate with each other and we share ideas And, I have never once felt a super competitive environment. And you would think with 5,500 realtors it would be, but there's also a lot of real estate changing over, between vacation rentals and military. There's a lot. There's a reason why we have so many agents.
And it sorts itself out. I had a lady that was military that called me because she homeschooled in Germany and they were moving back here. And one of my homeschool friends, I spoke in Germany for homeschooling once. So one of them said, well, I know somebody that just became a realtor at Eglin Air Force Base. You should call them. So she called me and I was helping her look at houses online. Well, meanwhile, she didn't understand that when you have a realtor, you don't go call 4 of them. Right. And so she had called another realtor.
Shopping around.
Right.
You should say that louder for the people in the back, because I don't think people know that.
When you have a realtor, you have a realtor. You don't go call 4 of them, because we work hard for you and we don't know that you've called the realtor that got your phone number on Zillow and now they think they're your only realtor. And so for probably 2 months, this other realtor, her name was Patty. I don't remember her last name. Not Patty Cole. She's wonderful, by the way.
Patty mayonnaise.
Patty, whatever. Hamburger Patty. So Patty and I were working with the same family, and she actually had us both make offers on the same house.
Oh my
I
god!
don't think I knew this story.
And you guys are outbidding each other.
No,
Sorry about the trash can in the background.
No, so the listing agent called me and said, "Hey, your buyer's the same buyer from the offer I got like a half hour ago."
Oh my God.
I was like, "Oh, all right. Would you mind giving me that agent's name so I could call her?" And so I called her, and she was so nervous. And I was like, "You know what? You can have her. We're good. You make the offer. You represent her well. If you need to know anything else we've talked about, you just let me know." And that woman, I think, started crying on the phone. I don't think she thought I would be kind.
Yeah.
And so I didn't, the moral to that is you don't need every client. Mm-hmm. And it's better to create a good relationship with someone that you work around and with, because I guarantee you that Patty, whoever you might be, you remember being nice. I was nice to you. And so one day, if we're ever working in the same circles again, I'm sure she'll remember that I was honest. I made the phone call first and I said, "Here you go, run with it." Mm-hmm. Because that's more important to me than a $5,000 commission.
Right.
Way more important. So
yeah. She'll be there to help you, and you need it probably.
It works.
Okay, so what about insurance in Florida? Do you feel, Una?
Oh, insurance. That's
so
a biggie.
Why? Yeah. Our mortgage has gone up.
Hurricanes.
Yeah.
And the secondary insurers, that's the difficulty that a lot of people don't realize, that it's the secondary insurance. Insurance carriers are having trouble with the secondary insurance companies insuring them. And there's just so many companies that have pulled out. Mm-hmm. I have a friend who owns an insurance company, and she said, "Joyce, we used to have 53 companies. Now there's like 13. Mm-hmm. There's just not that many. But yeah, hurricanes, the value of homes has gone up. So then, with the value, you're insuring more, right? So your insurance policy has to go up. But it's tough, people are having to sell their homes because the insurance cost is so high.
Can't afford their payments.
Are we going into a market crash a little bit here? Or is something going to come in and save us from it?
Well, there's legislation to make the insurance market a little more competitive, but they say that takes time. They want to bring in more carriers, create more competition. Is there light at the end of the tunnel? I hope so, because it just can't sustain at these prices. Mm-hmm. But that's Wanda. Do you have any?
I don't think we're going into market crash.
No,
some people, because what we are hearing is some people's mortgage, or it's in their escrow account. They're expecting to pay X amount every month, and then with this jump,
and it goes up.
Oh, yep. $1,200 to $3,000 in addition every month. That's a big jump. Yeah. People can't afford it anymore.
I feel like there's active legislation being worked on right now to help the consumer. Mm-hmm. I feel like whoever the powers that be that woo insurance companies into insuring this state are hard at work. And I had one of my buyers email me this morning and say, XYZ insurance broker gave me these 4 quotes. Which one do you recommend? A year and a half ago, he would have gotten 1 quote. So the fact that he got 4 different companies willing to insure his house here is an improvement exponentially from a year and a half ago. And they were all within a decent range, and they were all not ridiculously stupid. So I would say insurance companies are are trying to cover their assets. Thank you.
Well played, Wanda.
And trying to make sure they don't get hung out to dry. But we have our state legislature and government working on making sure they're not taking advantage of the consumer. You can't not insure a home that has an older roof now. You just pay more for said insurance. But there was a hot minute where they would be like, oh, that roof's 15 years old. It doesn't matter that it passes 4-point inspection. We're not going to insure you because there's a liability there. Now they can say, we will insure you, but it's this much. So what I tell my sellers is if your roof is over 15 years old, we need to get a quote on what it costs to replace it because the people that buy it are going to want to. If your hot water heater is over 15 years old, they do not have to insure your home. And while you may have insurance, the next person will not. So you got to replace that. There's the certain key items as realtors that we know that we got to make sure our sellers are presenting rightly. So that's what I do. And it's getting better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and you need to shop your insurance, right? Because not all insurance carriers or companies offer the same insurance carriers. So, you know, it pays just like lenders, if you're going to get a loan for a home, to shop different lenders. They say to shop like you do your home, you know, go to 3 or 4 and get different quotes because they have different carriers and you might find a better policy. Yeah.
I don't know. You could shop your lender.
Shop your lender. Don't shop your realtor.
No.
Well, we have our.
I mean, you
realtors.
can, but
Before at the same time.
but
shop
don't
here.
do it while you're making offers on things. You should shop your realtor. You should interview them. You should look them up on Google review. You should look their website up. You should, because you should know what you're getting into with that relationship.
And speaking of which, how do you know when that realtor is your realtor?
When you say you love them.
Because sometimes, you know, you might be shopping realtors and the realtor thinks, well, I'm putting you in the system. You're my client now. And then is there a contract that needs to be signed?
There is now.
Okay.
Yeah. And you will be required to have by July as part of the NAR and the settlement. If this goes through and is approved by the Department of Justice, there will be a buyer-broker agreement. And so if you're representing buyers, you'll present this agreement and they must sign, and it clearly outlines.
Which, by the way, it's been in existence for quite some time. We just don't all use it.
Oh, okay.
It's been optional.
Yeah, it's been an option. Now it's going to be required. So
it seems like it covers that gray area with the clients too. It probably protects both parties.
it protects both parties.
It does.
And it lays so. Oh, we weren't going to talk about this.
But you're tiptoeing around it. It's fine.
So it lays out the role of your realtor as a buyer, and it explains the value of paying them a commission. And so
Compensation.
I'm sorry, a compensation.
Will we readjust that?
Paying them a compensation. So what you're doing by signing your buyer brokerage agreement for however many months you and the agent agree to is you're saying, I understand that your services are not for free. I understand that you spending 2 hours looking up properties and their proximity to the beach is not something you're just doing because it's your fun thing you do instead of watch TV. I understand that when you drive me around for 3 days showing me property, that's of value. And I'm willing to pay you. My buyer's brokerage agreement has a certain percentage, and that's my standard of operation. It doesn't have to be the same for Joyce's buyer brokerage agreement unless it's the person we're working with together, and then it will. But they're laying very clearly out in that agreement, this is what my services are worth. And that has been the case for decades. It just hasn't always been put on paper for the buyer before the contract was negotiated.
And to go back full circle from the beginning, that communication and that boundary setting, to me, my perspective around this situation, thank you. I'm so happy it exists because it's going to make it very clear.
Yes.
And then you can't say you did, it's on paper.
Yep.
Right.
And to me, I think having something, I'm a type A personality. Having things in writing and on paper makes me very happy because now I know where within that bounds.
Parameters,
I know where we are.
And then you can
avoid all
respond and
that
say,
gray.
per my last email.
There's boundaries set, right? And boundaries, everyone in the world works better with boundaries.
Yeah, agreed.
Everybody. You know, when you have kids on a little playground and there's no fence around that playground, they all huddle up in the middle.
Yeah.
All of them. But if you have a fence around that playground, they're putting sticks along that fence. They're sticking their arms out the fence because they're free inside their boundaries. When we set boundaries for our clients, they are free inside those boundaries. It's actually a blessing to have that in play because because then you're setting boundaries, and boundaries are good.
And transparency is so important, especially when we're talking like large amounts of money. And so it needs to be clear. And yeah, I think it's a good thing. Not everybody thinks that.
That's
I
okay.
think
It's just a new thing. Sometimes the people that don't like new things are going to think it's a bad thing, but it's just a new thing.
I agree. Change is so good. You work around it. Figure out, find the good.
There's
a lot of people
always
go to the
change.
negative, but
That's
there's a
right.
positive in there too.
It's all in your mindset.
That's right.
And how is mindset with real estate? Any tips? Because I know we're talking a lot about real estate, but what you all are offering can go for any business.
Oh, yeah.
This feels very, I'm sure whoever's listening can take snippets
I hope so.
and say, well, hey, I can apply this to my job. So we want to talk about mindset a little bit. What gets
Well,
you out of
Wanda and I both start our day pretty much the same.
She
yeah.
just does
So
it
we
2 hours before
yeah,
me.
I do.
You're a monster. I'm hanging out with Wanda. Just kidding.
It's so important to get your mindset right, especially if you're going to be helping your clients. So, in the morning we wake up, not in the same house, but
That'd be weird.
You sleep with FaceTime on, so you go, good morning.
We're besties.
we are. But I will tell you something that I get every morning from Wanda's mother.
Yeah.
So Wanda's mother sends me quotes from the Bible and then summarizes in a text every morning. Yes, Miss Conrad.
Does
It
that
is
to
the
over
beautiful
200 people. So
Oh, so
And
she's not special is what you're saying.
no, she is special because she does it because I asked her to. No,
So-
she's like, that's totally my mama.
Yes, but
another
that's
thing.
just
sweet.
part of the morning mindset process. So, I have a Jesus calling devotional that I read. I'll read the verses that are referenced. I'll read my Bible. I have a gratitude journal. I write in it every morning about what I was grateful for the day before. And I started that actually during COVID and my career change into real estate because I did have quite a bit of time on my hands. And so, that's part of my morning experience and mindset, just to be so grateful where I'm at, the roof over my head, my family, my kids. And so that just starts the day off right. And that's what keeps me going. And I think having a positive mindset, no matter the situation, I feel like even if it's a negative, it's really a positive in disguise. You just need to find the best and the reason why behind it. Our ninja training that we take in our we don't wear ninja suits, but it's all
I have one,
about
though.
Could you
the
imagine?
right mindset.
I will wear it
Yeah.
next time.
Please do.
Show up for a listing.
We need those.
I have one. It's a Halloween
you?
costume. Oh, totally. Yes.
Yeah, next time we're going to dress up as ninjas.
I think I have a picture. I'll find it.
Can we please?
Yes.
So good.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Only if I can carry weapons.
Yeah.
actually, the ninja mindset is
WD-40.
Ninja stars.
The ninja
is-
mindset is
what anchors. God is what anchors what we do, but the ninja mindset is what we went to when we started real estate to learn that selling process. But really, it's a lifestyle, and it hinges itself on that's called the Ninja 9. But 5 of those things are daily actions, and that's where your mindset sits. You do your gratitudes, you read your positive thing. For us, that's devotion. I write 2 note cards every morning before I'm drinking my first cup of coffee when I write them. I write them to 2 people that are in my sphere. You do the other things that have to do with real estate that help your real estate business going. But those 3 things are what helps set your mindset. Now, where you get that positive reading, I don't read Jesus Calling. I read my mom's thing every day because she's my mom. But I was doing this thing where I was reading the whole Bible in 90 days. So I spent a lot of time reading the Bible.
You read the whole Bible in 90 days?
No, it was 103.
Still.
But,
and some audio, right?
well, that's reading.
Is the Bible on an audiobook?
Oh, yes. That's the only way I got
Yes,
through it in
yeah.
103 days. Are you kidding?
Right?
I cannot read Leviticus and paper. So just
It's actually
those
in Braille.
things. Those things. Setting yourself right for your day, remembering who you are, where you come from, why you're doing your why. That's your mindset. And so if we have a positive mindset, one of the things we learned in Ninja is the reticular activating system. So whatever is at the forefront of your mind, you see show up more in your world. So if I go into my day being thankful for my family and thankful for the opportunity in my business and thankful, sometimes I'm thankful for Joyce. I'm thankful for Joyce all the time.
Sometimes.
You know, sometimes I'm reaching hard for thankful and I'm just thankful for the coffee. But if I go into my day thankful, then when I see things happen, I'm actually going to react thankfully for those things, right? If I go into my day having remembered where I find my hope, then I see glimpses of God everywhere. And when I react to people, I react the right way. If I don't go into my day that way, I do not react right. Because while I might be fun and witty and kind, sometimes I'm hangry and I might not react the same way. So there's that.
We're all human. We have
Yeah.
bad days.
Well, and I think with your clients too, just having the mindset of service, right? You want to serve them and provide the best that you can possibly provide. You know, a lot of times I'll look at, properties and we'll maybe get something under contract and my husband will say, "Oh, what's the commission on that?" And I said, "Oh, I forgot to look."
Yeah, I don't even know.
So there's this thing called well, I probably shouldn't go there, but where maybe the commission is motivating and to me it's not.
No, we have a list of 20 houses. The house I like best for the people we're showing houses to is definitely not the most expensive house. And there's one that's very similar to it that has a higher percentage commission that I don't even want them to like. Not because I don't want the higher percent, but because this house that I like that I won't tell them because it's their house, that's the one I think they should get.
It fits the criteria
Yes,
based on
Fits all
discovery.
five.
Right. But they have to pick it.
Right, but they pick it. And so that's important, not to be greedy, but just for your priority to be not financially
not your
focused.
motivation.
Yeah.
And I think also one of the things that I have learned over the last 4.5 years or 5 years is how to have conversations with other people that take the focus off you and your credentials and put it on them. And that's what in ninja selling they call the forward conversation, because you ask them about family, about their occupation, about their recreation, about their dreams. And you don't say, "Hey, how's your family? How's your occupation? How's your recreation? How's your dreams?" But because that would be weird. But you engage in conversations about the things that matter to them. And then you forget about having to tell them how many certifications you've got and how many houses you sold last year and how much you're worth, because it's not about you. It is just not about
Preach.
not about you. Nothing in this world is really about you.
Thank you.
So
I agree with you. We tell people that all the time and they're like, I'm not selling on my marketing. My social media is not converting. I said, your message is about you and not about your customer. Your message is not talking about the problem you're solving. It's talking about why you're so great. Well, I don't care about you. I'm here to know about me. I mean, we're all selfish at heart, but when you're trying to pitch a service or a product, you have to make it about them. And it's a simple shift. If people could just see that, then they start converting.
I will tell you, that's why Joyce was Rookie of the Year, because she made it not about her. That's why Joyce shows up and has exponentially larger years year after year, because she doesn't care if they're larger. That's why I have built the business that I've built, because I really just want to make sure I get that connection for that person.
And all the rewards start to follow, and all the
Yes.
titles and all the credentials.
Putting first things first.
Yes,
Right.
it'll happen naturally if you keep that focus. It's so great, and you have a bunch of titles. We joked around about it.
Yeah, I know.
Before we started, and she's not even talking about him.
Well, you just got to get an email from her.
It's all listed underneath it.
Is your signature a paragraph?
It's a little bit long.
I love it.
Well, again, I just like to dive in and learn as much as I can, and those little acronyms just come along with it.
Yeah.
Right? So
I love it.
You pay for those.
Seriously.
I got to put another one on mine last week. So
MVP.
I like that MVP.
CIPS.
And Frankie, I know you had a question. Would you like to turn your mic on and
I have
ask?
the mic in my hand.
Oh, that's why you handed it to me. Okay, well, Frankie has a question for you, ladies.
Okay.
She wants to know, did you ever sell a house that you have sold before that now looks completely different from before?
Oh, yeah. Well, that's called a fixer-upper. I mean, the kudzu house is gone, so there's that.
That one looks different.
Let's see. Do you have one that comes to mind? Well, Steve Blatt's, that was a big reno project.
Yeah, that was a big
Was I supposed to say his name? One of your
that's
clients.
okay. Yeah, no, Steve Blad, BLAD, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So He's also my client that said I had too many acronyms under my name.
That's great.
Yeah, so that client I actually ended up turning into his reno person.
That would be general contractor.
General contractor, yeah. So I just, Wanda and I both like to go above and beyond, and anytime someone needs something, we have a person for that.
Yep.
Oh, you need a new roof? We have a
got a
person.
guy.
Oh, you need a new HVAC? We have someone. New paint? Oh, I've got a guy. But I kind of turned into a little bit of a general contractor, which is not in my scope. But we made his condo beautiful. One thing he really wanted was a nice desk to sit at when his family was vacationing at the beach. He could still do a little bit of work. And so we said, oh, just, find me a built-in desk. And, I was able to get the really beautiful piece of, wood dipped in the
Epoxy?
yes, that look like waves and stuff. And he absolutely loved it. And, that's kind of one of his highlights in the condo is that sitting at that desk. And he told me, he said, I loved it so much that I outfitted my entire office in China and all the employees with these desks with the wood and the epoxy with the waves. So that was kind of cool.
Those are cool.
Yeah.
Speaking of epoxy, you got to say it. It's too good.
Yeah. So a lot of times we sell things that are renovation projects, right? Because the dream is to buy low and sell high, right? So if you buy something that needs a facelift, then you get to take advantage of that when you want to sell it later. And so I have a guy that is a renovation expert, and he can do anything in a house. And so he was actually renovating a condo in Sandestin where he took, we sat at Hotel Effie with my buyer and my guy. His name is Isaac Hernandez with In and Out Renovations. My guy Isaac and I sat at Hotel Effie at the rooftop bar, and on a cocktail napkin, my buyer drew out this idea he had about bunk beds that would come out of the owner's closet and into the little alcoves of the 2 bedrooms. So they're like drawers that come out of the wall. Mm-hmm. And so when you pull them out, there's twin beds in the 2 bedrooms that sleeps 2 more people. But the cool part was you push them back in, and then the little short person door, because it's like a half door because it's a storage closet, they open that, and he put air vents in there and a ceiling fan and a little gaming TV, and it was like a little kid cave. So
that's cool.
No condo in all of Baytown Wharf has that in it. But if you get the right guy and you get the right vision from your buyer, you can take something that's meh and make it the coolest thing around. So that's super fun for me. So
You can also put $1,000 bill into
you
an
can
epoxy
also,
toilet seat.
Yes.
if you have the right guy doing your renovations, have him call you and say, Wanda, come look at this. And then I'll show you the toilet seat because I got a picture. He was renovating a condo in Destin, and the toilet seats both were like these epoxy toilet seats with real money in them. So $1,000 bill and old coins. And then the master toilet had more bills than coins, but I didn't get a picture of that one. I think they already broke that one open. So yeah, sometimes you find money in your toilet seat.
Pretty cool, right? Yeah. Oh, there are on another page here. Oh, okay. Okay, we did the kudzu one. Good question. How much was that house sold for? Right? Is that what you're asking? What it was sold for? The kudzu?
Was it
Do you remember?
It
market
was
value?
for $132,000, which was the price of the land.
For 2 lots, which now can be built up and sold for.
$450,000 each.
Do you have, what's the prettiest house that you have ever sold, and what did it look like?
Joyce, you go first.
Oh gosh, there's so many of them that are really pretty. Let's see. So actually, right in the neighborhood I live down the road, it was my first house I ever sold, and maybe that was why it was the prettiest. But it was a gorgeous 2-story red brick home, and it was just very traditional, and great big yard, pool in the backyard, and it was just beautiful. I think that was probably
The prettiest
the
one?
prettiest. Yeah.
I don't know. Here,
I don't sell a whole lot of houses. I sell a lot of condos.
but
You do, yeah.
Yeah.
the prettiest house I think is the one I have on the market right now in Indian Bayou on the water. It's got 140 feet of water.
that is pretty.
It's got a lap pool that's screened in. It's got a boat dock.
Oh, that's when you were showing me.
Yes, it's gorgeous. It's so because they renovated everything inside. So that one's super pretty. And then like I've sold beautiful condos, and I sold a beach house in Emerald Waters that was renovated really, really well, but it's not on the water. So I mean, I would take pretty couches out of my house if I could put my house on the water. So
Yeah. Have you ever sold a house on Bay Grove Road?
I have not.
You have a project on Bay Grove right now, or a tiny home? Was that you that we were talking about?
No.
She just came from Windswept, which is down the
Yeah, Windswept
Maybe.
have a 1.37 acre lot in
Wait,
Windswept.
that's 5 minutes.
where you
from now.
cannot put your branded
yeah,
brokerage
sign.
for sale
It's got to
sign.
match the colors and everything.
Yeah, but in Freeport, you guys do a lot of Freeport
I don't do
stuff?
much. I sold something in Hammock Bay, but I was the listing agent, so I could move the people to Destin.
Gotcha.
I mean, to Niceville.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't do a lot of business in Freeport. But you know what? We should, because it's the fastest growing city in Walton County.
Yeah, it's getting big.
Yeah, it is. It's got more open permits.
And it's so
for
close to
building
get to
than anyone
30A.
else.
Like
Oh,
they're
yeah.
they're at 30A in Seaside in like 15, 20 minutes. And we meet them there and it's an hour drive almost every time.
Just go through Freeport.
Yeah.
So we drive halfway and have them drive the second half.
So true. Do you have anything
No?
else for these beautiful women before we?
Just
I could talk to y'all all day long.
just got to get her to golf here in a little bit.
Oh yeah, that's right. I apologize for that. Okay, anything else you all want to add?
Thank
Before?
you.
Thank you for
been
having
fun.
us. Yeah.
We're so
Yeah.
Oh, where can people find you if they want to work with you?
Yeah, what's your
Because you are
exact
trusted
address?
Best
My
premier.
home address.
Where can people find you?
Joyce Sells
Can you put a
Florida.
QR code on your podcast?
Seriously.
You know, we're both at the Premier Property Group office in Miramar Beach at Seascape. We actually didn't even mention
We're
this,
at the
and
Grove.
shame on
right?
us.
I know.
We both work for the new development called the Grove at Seascape Resort. So we are both on that sales team and always available to talk about new buildings in Miramar Beach, which there aren't any but us. So we are housed our office out of Miramar Beach. Both of us have websites. Both of us have, I don't know, can you put the link in the bio?
Yeah, we'll link
exactly.
everything
Yeah.
below.
So, I mean, you can find us all the time. We're realtors. We just take Sunday off. And then we have people that can work for us because that's the way you do business. I don't know. You can find us anywhere. We're everywhere.
Cool.
Find us at Winn-Dixie half the time.
Winn-Dixie or Publix.
That's right.
You guys have Instagram? You have social accounts
Yeah.
too? Okay,
Yeah,
good.
we do.
We'll link them
Yeah.
down. We'll
Joyce
link them down.
Serina and Wanda Jackson.
Well, mine's Best Life Realty Group because your best life is in reach here at the beach.
I like it. You guys have really good names too, by the way. You sound like rappers or something, don't you think?
Well, thanks.
Joyce Serina and Wanda
Wanda
Jackson.
Jackson. I don't sound like a rapper. I'll tell you what I sound like off the air.
Emerald Coast Girls.
Actually, Wanda Jackson was a rockabilly singer in the 50s.
There you go.
Okay, maybe
Yeah,
not
she
rap.
dated Elvis.
Oh.
Wanda.
See? Wanda Jackson. Don't they? Oh, not. I'm sorry. Rap singers was not the. Not
Rap
the-
singers.
I was thinking of a singer like
Oh, I'm a gospel singer name.
Thank you. There we go.
you're welcome.
Gospel singer, not rap singer.
I'm
that
gospel
would have been weird.
Oops, oops.
I love it. Thank you both so much for taking time out of your very busy schedules
welcome.
to talk
Thank
with
you.
us and to educate us on the market out here.
Yeah,
It's very
it was our pleasure.
It's invaluable information, and hopefully it helps other realtors who are trying to get into that market a little more aggressively.
Thank
And
you.
you offer mentorship? Is that, or is it just within your?
I am happy to mentor anyone that would like to be mentored. I tend to not spend my time outside my brokerage.
Understood.
Yeah.
I don't blame you. And
If you can
she's a
weasel your
great
way into
mentor.
work in their brokerage, maybe she'll
Yeah.
mentor you.
And if anybody wants
right.
to join the Women's Council of Realtors, you're sitting with your future president
Yeah, you are.
here,
Yes.
and sitting down with you for just a few minutes a couple weeks ago changed my life. I mean, what you bring to the table, both of you, the value and the leadership, you definitely are speaking on what it is that you do. It's not just words. You follow up with the action. And we're really grateful for both of you. And I
That
can't wait
means
to
a lot. That means a lot.
can't wait to do
Yes.
more with you all.
Yeah, we'll do lots of stuff together.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, all good.
All right. We'll see y'all later.
Appreciate
people.
it.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.